People complain that Classic Sonic is in Sonic Forces for no reason, and that is not true. He is actually the most important character in this whole entire game. What I dug up was mind-blowing. Now, some of you may not know this, but Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces is actually connected. I know what some of you are saying. Sonic Forces told us nothing about this link, but Sonic Mania has. Sega has assumed that we would all play Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces in order to understand this link, but some of us don't want to play Sonic Mania because some of us think it's a bad game, and many of us agree that Sonic Forces is a really terrible game. I took on Sega's challenge and I actually played both of them, and this is my discovery. To understand this link, we have to play Sonic Mania first because it actually plays out like a prequel to Sonic Forces. More details later on how this is really important. The first huge discovery is that the Phantom Ruby is actually in this game, and it actually activated on its own somehow. It was never explained throughout the game, but it really doesn't matter. Some of you are probably saying, how do you know that's the Phantom Ruby? Just by the look alone is not enough evidence. Well, I encourage you to listen to this sound bit. It's the same sound as Infinite's Phantom Ruby.
You're insistent.
So the Phantom Ruby is the key item that connects Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces together. But why? Why is this item so important? Perhaps it's because of what it can do. Let's take a look at their powers in both Sonic Mania and Forces. In Sonic Mania, we see that when the Phantom Ruby is activated, it lifts up everything like zero gravity. The same can be said for Sonic Forces. Well, maybe except for this part and some other parts, but it does for the most part. The Phantom Ruby in Sonic Mania makes everything go exposure, while in Sonic Forces, everything goes red. I believe it's because it's Infinite's favorite color that he makes everything red. I don't know why it's completely different. In Sonic Mania, the Phantom Ruby has the power to change the area completely, along with the appearances of robots and stuff. Sonic Forces, cubes made of stuff comes out. Last thing to note on the Mania of Phantom Ruby is that it could create this weird portal thing with the Chaos Emeralds, but more on that later. But the Phantom Ruby in Sonic Forces also has the power to create soulless copies.
He just disappeared. That was a fake.
So that's everything that we could physically see in cutscenes in both Sonic Mania and Forces. But Sonic Forces actually takes it a step further by actually explaining what the Phantom Ruby can do. Allows Shadow to explain what the whole soulless copies are.
Infinite can create virtual reality projections. They have mass and form, but no heart and soul.
Virtual reality? So all those familiar faces that were part of Eggman's army?
Replicas. The problem is, they may not be real, but their powers are as formidable as the originals. According to Rouge, Infinite can create unlimited numbers of them.
So fight after fight, he can just keep cranking out counterfeits?
Exactly.
So how in the world does Shadow know all of this? He's not exactly the brightest Sonic character, and he could be making up stuff as he goes along. It left me confused. I looked all over the game and it was never explained on how Shadow knows all of this. However, we got our answer in the Sonic Forces free DLC episode Shadow. We're gonna skip to the important things. Shadow had an encounter with Infinite at the past, and since that fateful day, Infinite vows,
Not weak!
why do you ask? It's because Shadow said,
Worthless. Don't show your pathetic face around me ever again.
oof, that was badass. And what did Infinite do? He went ahead and took Shadow's advice and hid his face and never showed it to Shadow again. thus proving what a tool he is.
But I suppose that's the way it goes.
Because of this revenge thing, Infinite went ahead and encountered Shadow and did all his Phantom Ruby nonsense on him. As you can hear, the Phantom Ruby is being used, so use your imagination on what's going on. Shadow is left confused and finds himself in Green Hill out of nowhere, and he's not sure why, much like classic Sonic finds himself in Green Hill in Sonic Mania, and everything comes in full circle. So after that encounter of Infinite and everything that Shadow had to deal with, we could pretty much say whatever Shadow is saying is pretty much true. There's also more information about the Phantom Ruby, and Tails will explain it to you all.
Found it! Virtual reality weapon, the Phantom Ruby. A weapon that takes control of people's visual and depth perception to feed false information to the brain, creating a new reality for them. Like a dream so real, if you bump yourself in it, your sleeping self will bruise? It's hard to believe. Eggman experimented with lots of prototypes, and then incorporated the final version into Infinite.
Now we know everything about the Phantom Ruby, but here's the big mystery. Classic Sonic. How does this work? Because after all, this classic Sonic is...
You're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you?
Exactly. So that means Sonic Mania is a different dimension compared to modern Sonic. Remember the Phantom Ruby's power by creating a portal with the Chaos Emeralds? Well, this finally comes into play, in what we assume is the true ending of Sonic Mania, because Sonic Mania had multiple endings, but let's face it, Tails being the hero at the end is laughable, Knuckles, yeah right, and Sonic is the only one that we are pretty sure would win the day. In this ending, Sonic gets sucked into the portal and then he strikes a pose very similar to Sonic Forces, which was in a Sonic Forces trailer and not in the game whatsoever, and I guess that really works. Honestly, this is all we got. If this sounds forced, it's only because it is. Heh, get it, Sonic Forces? Okay, moving on. Now we know that both Sonics are the same Sonic. So what is this talk of Sonic being in another dimension? Well, as we know, classic Sonic fell into a portal and then this scene happened.
Oh, you're that Sonic from another dimension, aren't you? Right, that makes sense, I think. Do you know how you got here? Maybe the power that Eggman is using is somehow affecting other dimensions.
Okay, so there's a few things that we need to discuss in this one scene alone. Number 1, classic Sonic is an idiot. He doesn't somehow know that he fell into a hole that brings him to a different dimension, so he kinda just shrugged it off. Alright. Number 2, so the Phantom Ruby is affecting other dimensions. After us babbling about the Phantom Ruby earlier, we know for a fact that it doesn't have any dimension powers whatsoever. So the big question is, how is Classic Sonic from a different dimension? So does that mean that Classic Sonic is not real? Everything that we've seen in Mania is completely fake? Is Sonic Mania one big illusion? Then why is it the first game out of the two? I once again try to reach out to Christian Whitehead about this disturbing information that I found, but at last he didn't answer any of my calls